Good morning. So, guys, I wanted to just give a little bit of a confession to all of you. I've kind of come to the conclusion, in many respects, that I've let my entire team down, all of you guys. I've let myself down. I've let my family down. I've let a number of people down over the past months, and to some extent, I think that's, and I'll kind of explain. So I've realized the decisions I've made, or perhaps more importantly, decisions I haven't made, have allowed me, it basically caused me to lose focus. And it's not that I don't have goals, or we're not making progress as a company or anything like that, but I'm starting to realize that, by not having perhaps very specific and narrower goals, I'm jumping around. And so in my ability to support the operations, support each of the people individually, to some extent I've been gone. I've been thinking a little bit about, and just to be clear, for me, I think some of what's kind of clarified things for me was even doing the training, which most of the people here that are listening to this haven't heard the training yet. But I did multiple kind of two kind of over half-day sessions in the last month, and we're still editing that, and we're going to provide it to everybody. But just sessions, kind of the idea of, we had talked about previously with many of you together, was this idea of a curriculum. This idea that what is the big thing that helps each person that's part of the team become even better individually so that they're even better in the team. And as I did that, when you train, when you teach, you become better. And one of the things that came out for me was, I started to realize as I was teaching everybody else, I'm so divided. And so I had all these goals, you're gonna do this, and then I'm jumping around, right? And then suddenly, instead of being really effective, knocking things off and moving stuff forward, right? I'm distracted. I'm taking this call, I'm doing this, I'm working on this project. And it's been the day, and I feel like I got nothing done. And then I'm breaking promises, well, I'm gonna help you do this. We're gonna hire this person over here. We're gonna go after this goal. All this stuff, and it's the classic entrepreneurial disorder. I feel like I'm better than that. I feel like I'm called to do more in terms of supporting everybody in the team. I want to acknowledge pretty much everybody that, I feel like you guys deserve better. I feel a lot of gratitude for the way that everybody has held down the fort. Everybody has worked hard, but at the same time, I feel like I haven't allowed you to do more, right? Because I'm not supporting people and making sure that they're trained, making sure that systems are up, right? And we've had a lot of transition, but everybody's dealt really well. So we've come a long way, but there's a lot of chaos, and I think I've fed into it in a number of ways. Some of you are probably saying, you think, but at the end of the day, I lay this on me in many respects. I haven't held people accountable. I haven't taught people exactly what what it's expected of them. I haven't. I've just been running around like a crazy person, and in some extent, you could say I was not engaged, right? If I was my boss, I would say Andy Morris has not been fully engaged, right? And it's not that I haven't been working my butt off. So that might discourage, many people, including myself in some respect, but I feel free. I feel free because I come to this realization that things are a lot clearer than I allow myself to believe, right? Things can be a lot clearer, let's put it that way. And to many extents, I'm realizing I just have to say no more. And I'm okay with that now that I see a lot clearer. I think yesterday I had multiple appointments, and things are just kind of coming to a head as I there's certain things I'm learning are clicking, right? So in the morning, I'm thinking this morning, I'm like, there's certain aspects of my morning were not really grooving the way I wanted. Like I'd like to really groove it, and I'm learning from different people and different trainings and different things. And suddenly it was like this. I'm like, there's certain things working for me and certain not, and certain going to bring us where we need to go as a team, as a whole, so that everybody can see success, everybody that's part of the team. Because if the company doesn't succeed, everybody gets hurt. Or at least they don't get to have the benefit that they would either way, right? And so even this idea that I brought about in terms of like, hey, I want to grow 3 times from what we are now by the end of 2023, it's causing me to realize I have to think at a much bigger level. I can't just run around like some kind of crazy monkey, trying and failing at everything instead of like, maybe I need to slow down and actually start not accepting appointments on my calendar, not answering emails. And that might be a little weird because in many respects we're a service company. How does Andy Morris lead the company by not answering emails, right? Well, to some extent, that's my job, my role. Each person has to fulfill their role at a higher level, right? And so, for instance, I'll fill up my calendar in the mornings, right? But that's my most important thing, where I get really solid on the most important thing that's going to take the company to a higher level. And some of that's like creating marketing. Some of that's sitting in front of the camera like I'm doing right now, And so today I've scheduled 4 hours, 8 to noon, to do one thing and do it continuously and do it well. And that is a big part, providing, creating information that then helps create like an overall educational schema, an overall kind of group knowledge for everybody so that we all understand the company better. We all understand our industry better, and also is used in every other way to develop people that we interact with and fulfill kind of like the company's higher purpose in terms of actually making life better in general, right? So I'm realizing this is really important. And a lot of, but also like I have to do the same thing with making sure our systems are better. And I can't, I'll have like 15 systems and I'll be jumping around so fast that we're not actually making complete headway. Maintenance systems need to be better, right? It needs to be clearer, especially for, those who have been on the team shorter periods of time and they don't have a longer history. And it was kind of handed out, and we never really took those systems to the level, and then we've changed all the systems, right? So the systems had to be changed in many respects, so many of the issues of jumping around and the craziness were because of that. But now we have to really consolidate our gains, right? And so I'm realizing, number one, some of the changes I'm specifically choosing to make is that, it used to be I had like a 3-hour long morning routine. And I'm realizing that, preparing, and then not getting something. Like for me, I needed that, hey, I had a lot of, physical issues, and I still have some of those, right? But I'm recognizing I don't need to do all this, right? I can minimize this and do the critical few that make the biggest difference. And I can start earlier, right? And so I'm making some commitments, even about exercise. I'm reducing certain things I'm doing exercise on. I'm doing more high impact stuff, right? And so for me, that means I'm starting at 7 a.m. I'm saying, you know what? I'm going to start earlier. I'm going to work longer. I'm not asking everybody to do that, but what I'm explaining to you is this is my commitment to you. And some of it you're not going to see right away, right? But I'm starting to realize like I have to do the hard work so that we have, as a whole, a company that works for everybody, and you're all able to get more out. So, like for me, that change is like stuff like, I'm getting to work earlier, and I've been working on that for a long time. But the clarity is here. I'm just, it's like it's hitting me harder. Getting to work early, but now, like really, like I'm getting ready to do like extreme things. I might just turn my phone off, and I'll give you my wife's phone number. If you want to get hold of her, like I'm not accepting appointments before noon, right? and not too long ago, there's been multiple weeks where I was booked 6 days a week, starting at 7:30 in the morning, right? And so I was doing that, and to many extents, it's exciting, like I'm out and talking with people, interacting, learning, and growing. I don't want that to end, but at the end of the day, it's taking energy that I need to focus on doing things that are really going to make a huge impact, right? And so I'm looking at it and I'm saying, like, the amount of impact it would make me personally to see the company goals met is so huge. And I'm like, this is worth it. This is exciting to me. I want to see this. And for me, it's not just exciting. Like, listen, yes, I'd love to make more money personally, but it's not that exciting to me. What I am excited about is to see people that I work with at every level do better. And to me, that impact is what just blows me away in terms of like, wow, that would be so exciting. I'd be blown away to be able to do that, right? So I'm looking like, well, what is Andy Morris going to sacrifice? Like, and to the extent, I work a lot, but I'm realizing like, I'm going to have to give up some of these kind of attachments to certain ways of doing things and start to think clearer about this, right? So I have to give up the emotional, that's the sacrifice. It's not that I'm like working more now, but I'm realizing like clarity-wise for me, there's 3 things that are important. One is that single goal in this business. And under it, there's many objectives, but the single goal is to grow, right? 3x, the property management portion specifically, right? By end of 2023. But for me personally, right? I'm like, well, I made this goal, and that was I made the goal at this seminar that I was thinking through, like, what are my real priorities? Because I made everybody else that was part of this, clarify their priorities and limit them, right? And it's not that there's nothing else in your life that you want. And it's not that you don't seek balance in everything, because a big part of the teaching is if any specific part of your life is absolutely destroyed and you only focus on one thing, that part will pull you back into the past. Like any important, like you get energy out of every aspect of your life, from your health to your mental, thinking, your emotions, your social relationships, your family, all of these things, right? You get a lot of energy from those things. And you can let any single one of those pull you back, right? But having fewer goals suddenly clarifies everything for you. Like, we can only do things so complex. Our rational, conscious mind can focus on one thing at a time. Well, okay? And so having all these goals always working on, where you really focus on nothing, is the good way to live a life of mediocrity and complete and utter effectiveness, right? Like, you have to use the way that we're built to move forward. So I'm looking at that and I'm like, okay, my 3 are this, okay? I cannot do without these. One is, a single business goal, and I told you that. The second is, I'm realizing for me to be really, truly effective, I have to, for me, okay, and I believe to some extent for others in different ways you can interpret it, but for me, I have to pursue worship with my Creator. And if that's not like the first thing of the day, then it feels like my day's less effective. My purpose, even in the business, is to honor the calling, like He's called me there, right? I feel like I should be there. But if I don't focus on the highest level purpose, that's missing. And then the second thing for me that represents a lot is like my family. And what I've noticed is I'm so diverted, I'm going all over, running. I'll be exhausted at the end of the day, and I don't show up for the time that I've devoted to my family, right? So mentally, I'm not all there. Perhaps I'm edgy. Perhaps I'm thinking about something else while I'm eating with my family. And so learning, like, a big part of success is not just like the total time allocation on any specific task, but the amount of current awareness and focus I bring, and intention and desire when I'm doing what I'm doing, whatever it is I'm doing, right? So why am I doing what I'm doing, right? So a lot of it's driven from my higher level purpose. And so, like, I could spend a lot of time on something, but if it's not 100% focused, if it's not motivated moving forward, I'm not going to make headway in creating those results for you, right? And ultimately, because there's a purpose behind that, right? So I'm getting all this clarity. I'm thinking through these things, and I'm like, And I have these owners, we have these tenants, we have all these people we serve, the prospective people, the plans that I have to see people do well via kind of like this group coaching or online coaching type format that maybe aren't customers or clients, but we still want to affect them as we're affecting each other. And I see all these things and I'm like, I'm not even making headway in any of these because I haven't really clarified, right? And so for me, I want to see each of you, I want to use this to, number one, consolidate the systems that we have. I'll really take training to a next level for every single one of you in every niche and every role that you have, right? But also in that same token, cross-training. So everybody should like basically be so good at their job that they can do it without thinking about it. Like they can just do it. You have a bad day, kid kept you up all night, arguing with your wife, whatever. You show up at your job and it's like, it doesn't matter. You know, like your job itself, it's just like, it's habit. You just roll off and you actually get something out of it back. It's like you're so good at it now you get energy back, right? That's what you're looking to be in terms of your job. But in order to do that, like we need some sense of stability in terms of actual kind of role expectations, the systems and processes in it, right? Things like that. Training, background training, so that you kind of understand how do we respond to hard situations, you know how to do it. You can kind of do it at a higher level, even if, you know, real life happens, which it does to all of us, right? We have sickness, we have family issues, we have this, we have that, you know, we have ups, we have downs, right? How do we perform at a high level in the lows? You know, I want every role to be able to do that, everybody to feel like they can, right? Some of this includes cross-training, the ability to work as a team so that, you know, so the more that we have knowledge and information that's then shared systematically and listened to, understood, processed systematically by every person in every role, right? Including information for other roles. So you're not going to study it and take it as seriously if you don't have to do it on a daily basis, but you want to at least look at it to see how it relates to what you do, right? Because we can't work as a team if we don't understand like handoffs and how everything else works. And you're going to have a conversation with an important person that you're serving where they ask you about something else. And if all you ever do is just hand things off, it creates a very bad experience. And so we have to ultimately realize that we're not just doing our job, we're creating experience for the people that we work with, customers, customer tenants, client owners, right? We're creating this whole experience. If we don't all take responsibility for that, you're going to be a lot of drop-offs, and it's going to come back to anyone in their position who doesn't do it, right? It's just that it comes back in terms of a whole team effort. You don't see it. You don't even realize why it happened. But we all have to kind of take that to the next level, right? And so, anyways, I say that all to say, one, I think I'm starting to see a certain clarity. We do also need numbers, so we need to know if we're doing well or not in our position, and that's part of this is you need that feedback to know, like, what adjustments do I need to make? A lot of this just happens automatically, right? I don't need to tell you what you're doing wrong. You just need to know that there's something that's not met. And the brilliance of individuals is that they automatically learn new things, pursue new things, try new things, and continue to adjust until they meet something. That's just the goal-seeking nature of human beings. If you want it, and you understand what's needed, you will figure out how to get from here to there, right? And so that clarity alone is a big deal, right? And people just don't have it. It's not there. We're close to it, right? But I need to start knocking that off to help people to get there so that people can help themselves, the team members in our company, right? So this is like a general update. And I wanted to just say, I think I've talked enough, But one of the things that I did want to also just recognize, I want to go through everywhere, and I'm trying to do this off without notes, but I wanted to recognize, I feel like everybody that works for me right now it brings a lot, right? I'm incredibly grateful to the whole team for showing up. It's amazing how much gets handled. Even in, I described where I want to go, where we're not, right? And to much extent, it's me that's not allowed us to go where we want to go, right? But I'm very grateful that in spite of all that I see people putting a lot of heart into what they're doing. I see people taking care of real customer issues. It's amazing, right? And client issues, and just handling things, right? And so I want to recognize, and I hope I don't miss anybody here. I'm pretty sure I got everybody, but I was kind of rushing to get this done. So if anybody gets missed, let me know, and I'll formally recognize you. But Chris, she goes out, oftentimes works weekends and evenings, getting things done on a time schedule. And so I really appreciate that, right? And just brings a lot of energy to make things happen that need to happen. And we've made a lot of progress, even getting some old things handled in terms of systems and, some of these inspections and things like that we needed to get done. Those are it's amazing all these things have come into place, even with the problems that I've caused in the company. Mariana as well, kind of coming into a brand new thing. She seems to have really brought a kind of a cool head to this, and I see things improving significantly, even being brand new. So new processes and everything else. She's continually learning and growing, and I think there's going to be huge opportunity for what can happen in the future as she continues to learn and master what she's doing. Just considering what she's done in such a short period of time, and being part of this. So really appreciate that, Mariana. Ray has come in, and still he's also recent as well, and so he's worked some long hours to kind of try to catch up on stuff, and so I want to recognize that he's learned multiple different parts of the business, and I feel like he's making great progress, and that he's going to be a real star performer part of the team, Irita, I really appreciate, you have kept the continuity in the management operations. Sometimes I've seen you working late, and I've seen you up at 5 a.m. working, right? You bring us a precision and a lot of heart, and just helping as a team member for everybody. And I look forward to kind of seeing you continue to grow and operational and kind of leadership capacity, so perhaps giving up some of your duties, but also continuing to use your ability to pull the numbers, see things, to help coach people and help guide them to provide their own solutions and understand the numbers and things like that, and perhaps even into a controller type capacity. I think anything's open, and I appreciate your hard work, Irita. Ram continues to kind of have that Jedi mindset in terms of the ability to work with tenants, to get sometimes kind of somewhat hard objectives or negotiations in, and so to this day, obviously we all know he's gotten majority of the positive reviews. And to be honest, the reviews don't mean, Ram gets more reviews. That doesn't mean anybody else is lesser. But Ram does have that skill. And it's made a big difference in our company growth and our ability to do many things. I think we're perched at, we're getting ready to really fly. And so those reviews they're there as an asset to the company. And those are mentioned oftentimes by the people that I talk to. So I appreciate that. And I'm with Ram, I still want to have more conversations about opportunities to really use some of his creativity and media kind of abilities. Although I appreciate him kind of hanging in here on some of the operational side as well. Jean, it's been great. He's been able to jump around and do different things. I know he's been very patient. So John, I appreciate that about you. I've dangled some other opportunities in front of you, and you've kind of done them while also kind of being held back and doing some of the operational stuff as we don't actually have staff for leasing, or we're in all this transition. So I appreciate you kind of handling that. I think to some extent it's been good. It's kind of required sometimes when you're trying to develop a system, and it really helps to be doing it simultaneously, but you've been developing a number of systems. And so I think there's opportunities there for you to continue on that and continue to work together. And I appreciate what you've done and continue to do. Abby, I appreciate you coming in and just kind of jumping in. Been very chaotic because we've had all the transition. And so you've been here locally. And to be honest, when the mistakes happen, well, you're here like literally face to face. And so sometimes you've had to deal with it more, like you've actually had to bear the brunt more. I appreciate your patience and kind of showing up and trying to, find new ways even to get things done or problem solve as to, I know you called me the other day, you said, hey, it seems like showings are going down a little bit. Like, hey, what's going on? Let's talk about this. We still haven't had that conversation, but I want to. I appreciate the question. And I think that at the end of the day, we have to ask those questions, even if part of me is thinking, I think the market's changing. But I don't want to assume that, And so people that care about results ask those questions, and you did, right? And so you've come in, you're still learning and growing, I think. And obviously you have a lot of other things in your life in terms of school. And yet I would say you've still come in and given us a lot of energy, even with that. And so we really appreciate you being part of the team. And so I wanted to say that as well. And you've worked with Chris and Jean and Joe when he was here and others to try to kind of bring this to a higher level. And so I will say, there's been a lot of teamwork. Everybody's kind of grown. Even just recently, I've seen growth with different people on here. I'm looking forward for everybody to continue to be part of the team and to continue to grow the team that we have, as well as growing members on the team, and to continue to just get better, more efficient, and do exciting, fun things, learn, grow as people, and all of that, and hopefully make an impact as well. I think that's really what I want most.